Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Mindshare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals, along with REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And hey, while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 306. She's a real estate broker in Toronto with a proven track record of helping hundreds of individuals and families find their new homes across the GTA. She's known for being dedicated, reliable, knowledgeable, and diligent in her work. Always striving to make the real estate experience as enjoyable and stress-free as possible, she takes pride in building lasting relationships with her clients, positioning herself as their go-to expert for all real estate matters. With experience working with clients from various age groups and life stages, she has gained invaluable insight, particularly in guiding first-time homebuyers through the exciting yet often overwhelming process of purchasing their first property. She says, real estate is about more than just transactions. It's about making the entire experience seamless and positive for her clients. In addition to her real estate practice, she has served on numerous committees and task forces within TRREB and was previously on the board of the Black Realtors Association. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is broker Soroya Dempsey.
Hi.
Soroya, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you. And I got to say to you, and I got to say to everybody right now, for those of you that are regular listeners, and I thank you all for being regular listeners, as you could tell, my voice is a little bit under the weather today. We just got back from a hockey tournament in Detroit. Now, I wasn't playing, but I'm a coach on the team. And well, hockey tournaments made for early mornings and long nights. Lots of hockey and lots of fun. We'll just keep it at that. Fun. So anyhow, yeah, we're just nursing that, getting back at it. But pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to chatting.
Oh, absolutely. So I got to ask, because I know just before we got live,
yeah,
we were talking about the fact that, you know, how long you've been in the business, and obviously, you know, you got in just prior to that world-changing moment that everybody went through for a few years there, or for about a year.
What's that called again?
Yeah, that thing. You know that thing. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. But I mean, you've sort of seen the changes of the market. Yeah. I know that, you know, you're working in the Toronto market, and as we look at the numbers, the GTA, just regularly speaking, is one of the most competitive real estate markets in the country. Mm-hmm. I guess the question I got to that is, you know, what strategies have you found that have been really effective in helping your clients secure their ideal home in such a crazy market?
Well, I think the number one thing that I try to focus on when I'm taking someone on is really educating them. Once people have the information that they need and they're empowered to make a decision that is best for them, the whole process is a lot smoother. So I find that from the beginning, I go through the entire buying process. I give them a review of the overall market. We get into the micro market that they're looking in. I always love to take people out once or twice just to see some places with a very low pressure kind of thing. If they do like a place enough to offer, then great. But most of the time, you know, we're only going to get a frame of reference. So really it's about building, your frame of reference, educating yourself. I do the best that I can to educate them with market stats and my experience with, you know, how to navigate negotiations with sellers, how to best prepare your property for the market. And so really, like, the biggest pillar of my professional philosophy is education. And like you mentioned in my introduction, I love to make the process fun and enjoyable, because it is a really exciting time in life. Like, once you get to that stage where you're actually looking to buy your property, it's kind of like shopping. We have a good time. I want people to feel taken care of.
I hate shopping. Like, it tries to be great. Like, my wife loves shopping. I can't say
for a house is fun though. So yeah, that's kind of how I operate, especially with my first time home buyers, because they've obviously never been through the process before. And I think that there's so much information coming at people constantly, because obviously real estate is something that no matter where you are in your journey, everyone is engaging with it somehow, whether you're renting or you're an owner or whatever, you're looking to buy your first place. So I think it's all about getting all the information first, taking time to get acquainted with the market, and basically, building your frame of reference by seeing properties. I think seeing properties is invaluable. You have to see places in person and to know value when you see it. Like, honestly, I don't like when I've taken my clients out once or twice and a perfect place comes along, because I'm like, they need to see what else is out there to know how good this place is sometimes.
So. I really like that last part you just added in, though.
Yeah.
All too often, and this is a message to the entire industry right now, all too often we jump in and say, okay, yeah, you found it. Okay, great. Let's write the offer.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily take a moment to sit back and think, is this truly the right place for them? Mm-hmm. We know what's out there. We know how much is possible just because we live it, we breathe it. They don't necessarily know that, especially on the first time home buyer.
Yeah.
So I love what you said there. And again, one thing we try to do here is also add in those action steps for anybody tuned in, right? There's a lot of question asking, which is fantastic because you're doing a lot of learning.
Yeah.
Then there's the process of, and all jokes aside now, going out shopping a little bit so that we can see neighborhood, house style. Mm-hmm. Does it offer the amenities that you're looking for? Does it truly give you what you want?
Yeah.
And then it's also you kind of making sort of this almost internal decision, which really does sound like it's in the best interest of the clients to go, is this the right place to be at right now?
Yeah.
Hey, I know you really like it, but let's just go look at a few more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think
sorry.
I was just going to say, I think there's something big to that, because again, what it says is, hey, I'm not here just to make some money.
No. Yeah.
I'm here to actually help you find the home.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I never want my clients to make a decision based off of my word. Like, of course I want them to trust my advice. And if they want my opinion on something, I'm going to be honest, but I would never say, buy this place, trust me, it's a great deal. I want them to come to that on their own. Even if I do eventually say that, oh, this is a great opportunity or whatever, I would buy this place. Like, sometimes I genuinely would buy the place. And if they're asking me what I think, I do say that, but I would never want someone just to make a decision blindly because of my experience. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones buying it. They're the ones living in it. And if things happen all the time, and, for example, I'll tell you, when I got my condo, I was so excited that I didn't do a home inspection. And a lot of people don't do home inspection for a condo, but I was so excited that I didn't even check the AC when I bought it. And when I closed, it actually wasn't working and I had to pay. And that was my decision. And so I had no one else to say, oh, you did this or I should have done that. So it's kind of like, I want people to have all the information. Like, you should always do a home inspection. You should always, do all your due diligence. And because it's life, right? Like, no property is perfect. Every property is going to have their things. And I want you to feel good about that when those things happen, regardless of them being a nuisance and whatever. But you get what I'm trying to say.
I'm sure that air conditioning will last with you forever.
Yes.
When it's like, well, he's here. I was on a coaching call recently. I was on a coaching call recently. And like my client said to me, the buyers want to waive the inspection condition. Mm-hmm. And I said, is it brand new? She's like, no, this place is like 35 years old. Should I let them wait? Like, should I let them not do, pardon me, they didn't want to include the inspection condition.
Okay.
That fear of like losing the opportunity to get the deal. And she's like, what do I do? I'm like, how old is the house? She's like 35 years old. It's 36. Yeah. You have to include it.
Yeah.
Don't do this, right? She said, yeah, but they really don't want to. They want to move forward. This is why we're here, is to help guide people the right way. So I like that. And I know that'll stick with you forever. Yeah. Now you talk about understanding the market. Mm-hmm. How do you keep up with market trends just to, again, ensure that your clients are, positioned as well as they could be, whether they're on the buying or the selling end? Like, how do you keep up with them? And I guess to that, is there a daily task that you do to kind of keep yourself in the know?
Well, I always keep up with the news. I also check my own, I kind of do my own stats research. So I do a lot of condos, mainly in the core, downtown, midtown, and so central Toronto. So I'll always take a look at how many listings are available, what's sold, that day, and what's been listed that day. And then I have to say, my brokerage, Royal LePage Signature, they are the best, and they do a lot of education for our office. So we have weekly meetings called Signature Live, and on there we always talk about market trends. We have agents who we do a lot of mind sharing at our office as well.
Oh, I like that word there, Soroya.
It is. So yeah, everybody's kind of like a family, and we all share what we're experiencing and what we know. And then we also have reports from Urban Nation every month. We have our monthly stats that the office generates, and basically just studying those, understanding those. I like to take a look at an entire year, like month over month, and you can kind of see the trends of what's happening that way. And yeah, basically just staying focused on, I think, my main area, like keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going on there. And it changes so often. So like I went away recently for 2 weeks and I came back and I'm like, I have no clue what's going on in the market, right? Because it changes so often.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. With all those vacations you take, I mean, no, jokes aside, that was a little bit stalking on Instagram to see like Amalfi Coast and London and all this stuff.
But I'm here always working, people. So
for sure. Hey, that's the beauty of I will say, as much as I hate the smartphone, because I think it's driven us absolutely nuts.
Yes.
Obviously, the ability to continue to run what we do is possible anywhere.
Yes, exactly.
So you work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and I know there's a lot of people out there that won't even go near first-time home buyers because it can be painstaking. At the same time, too, it's like anything else. When you find a niche, you find what works for you and what works for them, and that synergy. What would you say from a first-time home buyer is one of the biggest misconceptions they have? And I guess in saying that, I might ask, what do you do to help them with that? And that might go back to what we already said earlier, like helping them shop. But what would be that big misconception?
About the buying process, you mean?
Yeah.
Probably that it's this big, ominous, scary thing that is so confusing and overwhelming. I mean, it definitely can be, but I think when you work with the right partner and team, it's not just me, it's also my mortgage broker and my real estate lawyer that I work with a lot. We all basically, I don't want to say handhold, but essentially like that is what we do. And we love to do that. Like I actually like working with first-time home buyers because I feel like I get to share my experience with them. I get to work with them for their first home, and hopefully we stay, I mean, if you're my client, you're never getting out of my CRM. So basically,
you're talking my language now.
You're not going anywhere, hopefully, but you're going to hear from me. I don't know.
True though.
But yeah, so hopefully, my whole thing with that is just to stay in touch with them, but to get back to and work with them for their future buys and sells. And that's how I plan on building my business. Even though I'm a few years in, I still feel very new, and I'm very much planting the seeds. And I really want to grow with my clients as well. But to get back to your question about the misconception, I think that the number one misconception is that it's very confusing and overwhelming and scary. But I think usually I do an onboarding call with my first time buyers where I have a not super long, but I have a decently brief deck. And I basically say, hey, this is me. This is how I work. This is how we're going to do things. For example, before I go for showings, I always do my background research on the property because I learned when I was newer, taking people before you've done a general comps. You don't have to do like a full CMA, but just generally what it might sell for, or if your client's very interested in a place, calling the agent before and kind of getting some additional information that maybe you won't see from the listing. So doing those things ahead of the showing also saves my clients a lot of energy, and maybe like they don't get their hopes up if it's not actually in their budget. So I go through all those things of how I work, how I'm going to take them through the process. And then of course, what's going on in the market and what the steps are after we found the place, and how the lawyer will step in and what she does in her side of the deal. And I think it debunks a lot of the like, oh, it's so scary, it's so expensive, you could lose money. But I think that, and all those things are true, right? But it's all about who you're working with and also how they empower you. So I can give a little example that's not real
I was going
estate.
to ask you. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
It's actually not real estate related, and it's another
Okay.
personal anecdote, but
Yeah, like it, like it.
I started going to therapy a couple years ago, and when I was in my process of looking for a therapist, which is in itself like that's a kind of a similar thing, right? Where it's like this daunting thing. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to say. Who are these people? And I have to tell them all my secrets. And basically, the one I ended up working with, what I liked about her was that she encouraged me to interview other people. So she was actually the first person that I spoke to. And she said, you know what? I don't want you to just start with me because you're the first, I'm the first person you spoke to. I want you to go out, talk to other people, see what else is out there. And if I'm the right one for you, then come back and we'll start together. And that actually is what ended up happening over the course of like 6 months. It didn't happen right away, but she is the one I ended up going back with. And that's sort of my thing as well, is like, I want someone to want to work with me. I want them to feel like, I really get along with Soroya. She's so trustworthy. We have a great time. She knows what she's talking about. And I trust her to put me in the position to get the properties that I need if we're competing or whatever it is, So that's why it's important for me to share the education pieces and also even to encourage people to go out and interview other agents. Like I feel confident in what I bring to the table, and I want to work with people who want to work with me. And yeah.
It's I like that. I like the fact that, again, a lot of what I'm hearing today is that it's not self-serving. I say to anybody, of course we're out there to make dollars. Well, that's what we're here for. We have, whether it's just for ourselves, whether it's for a family, we've got to put food on the table. Let's just call a spade here, right? I take a lot of pride in helping people.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in watching people succeed. I take a lot of pride in it's not about my dollars. I know that if I help enough people, I'll be fine. I'll be good. I will have more opportunities.
Yes.
And I will say that, again, from a perspective of, being in this industry as long as I have been, we see a lot of really bad agents, like people who are not there to help their clients. They're there just to be self-serving. They might tell you they're there to help their clients, but you can tell all of their actions
Say the
are just to make the dollar. Totally.
Yeah.
And staying true to who you are, staying true to what really drives you, staying true to the fact that you want to help others. When you stay true to that and you are not chasing the dollar, but you are chasing the success for others, the dollars and your own personal success will continue to find you.
Yeah.
So you obviously know that because you're living it, you're breathing it, you're succeeding from it.
Yeah.
I just want to reinforce that for you. A lot of the things you're saying today, obviously it's the right mindset.
Yeah.
So good on you. Now,
you're saying that. It's
well,
still
no, listen,
someone else.
Look, there are, tens of thousands of agents out there that you're competing against.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the most part, the majority of them don't do it for the right reasons. There's a lot of really wicked agents, like awesome, like good people, like who care, who understand the industry, who understand why they're here. There's a lot of them. But that small group of them are the ones who do most of the business.
Yeah.
And it's because of, again, the mindset in the way they approach the business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Now, you talked about you want to continue to do more business with people. This is a big thing that we talk about in our coaching when we talk about the 10-year plan, a bulletproof follow-up system. I call it just a referral machine. We teach people exactly how to do that. As you're building your business out that way, and again, I know you mentioned a very short period of time. I guess it's important to give everybody a little bit of background there. I learned from you a few moments ago, 7 years in the business.
Yep.
Right. So it's not the shortest period of time. You didn't just get in here yesterday. You've got some experience under you now.
Yes.
Hence how you got here on the Mindshare podcast. Congrats. It's awesome. It's awesome. But what I'm curious to know is, like, as you're building that reputation with your clients and you're establishing those relationships with your clients, what are some of the key actions that you're taking? Maybe some of those best practices or even some of the marketing channels that you're using to maintain and drive that sort of referral business, that ongoing repeat.
Yeah. Well, Instagram is huge for me.
Okay.
I find my focus is not as much at the moment, maybe that will change. I think it should change. My focus is not currently about reaching new people as much as it is to stay in touch and remind the people that I've already come into contact with that I'm an agent. And, I'm pretty good at it, I'd like to say. So Instagram has been great for me in that way, and staying in touch with my clients through social media, but also Again, at Signature, we have a great team of management who's always encouraging us to stay in touch, have one initiative a month that you do for your clients. So, at Christmas time, I'm always sending Christmas gifts and Christmas cards. I do seminars. I will send it out to my clients and say, if you have any friends or anyone who's looking to buy, we're doing a first-time homebuyer seminar. It's free. I had a big birthday party last year. I invited all my clients because I was like, you know what? These are like my friends now at a certain point too. A lot of them, we end up remaining in touch and we build a really strong friendship as well. And basically just always sending out information, letting them know what's going on in the market. I have a newsletter. It's honestly like 10 or something things that are constantly happening, and they're probably sick of hearing from me, but I'm going to keep doing it, as I said. So
hey, question for you.
It's been great. Mm-hmm.
If I said running shoes, what's the first brand you think of?
Right now, I'd say Asics, just because I have.
Give me the first one that came to mind.
Nike.
Thank you. What about if I said fast food?
McDonald's.
Thank you. And soda pop?
Coke.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So neither of any of those three companies, they didn't care how much we were exposed to their brand.
Yeah, that's true.
And you just did that. I know you started with Asics, but I was like, come on, be real with me. You're like, all right, fine, right? Like Nike. Okay. Think about that though. Nike, Coke, and McDonald's. And I know for those of you that are regular listeners of mine, you've heard me do that many times before, but amazing how it always ends up being the same three answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't concern themselves too much about how much they're in our faces.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to be in our faces.
Yeah.
And although those three companies, you may look and be like, I don't know even how much advertising I see from them anymore, because they're just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they've developed that with us as a society.
Yeah.
And so when it does come back to your marketing, and I know you said, like, however you just worded that a moment ago, of like being there too much, or if it's too much, whatever. Look, if people want to subscribe, they can unsubscribe.
Yeah.
If people want to unfollow, they can unfollow. If they want to scroll past and just not unfollow, but just not read or listen, they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
The key is, if you don't want to be there out of fear of whether or not they're going to do that, then you will not be there.
Yeah.
And therefore, you will not come up in that conversation when somebody says, real estate, Soroya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so good on you for doing it.
I needed that. Sometimes it's hard because I'm like, I find in the beginning it was really tough for me to self-promote. Like that was one of the barriers that I had when I started doing real estate. I was like, oh, I'm just not really an attention person. I get nervous, I get shy and uncomfortable. But as I've obviously gained experience, I'm like, well, I got to get over it, right? Because this is the industry that I chose and I have to do that. So thank you.
Well, hey, listen, you're very welcome. But I mean, good on you, right? It's like the same thing. Like just before we went live, we were talking about video, right? Some best practices. And it's like, it's amazing how many people still shy away from video here in 2024.
Including me.
Well, and listen, I get it. I can understand it. A lot of people have fear about what they look like or what they sound like. And the reality is we all look and sound the same as we do on video as we do in person. It's the same thing. It's just coming through a different set of speakers, whether it's in our own head or it's the actual sound of the speaker that's happening. Mm-hmm. But getting over that fear is important, because in the day that we live in today, the ability to jump on a virtual, like for those listening, on the audio, we are actually, in fact, recording this live, across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Like, we're virtual. We could see each other. People could see us right now. And so that's that next element of not just hearing, but being able to visually see. And it just amplifies, the way our message comes across to people. And some people want to listen, some people want to watch, right? It's another marketing channel we can use. And the question I would have for anybody is, why not use it? Yeah. Right. So I like what you're saying here. Now, a couple things. I love the fact, like, you start off by being like, oh, I get a lot of stuff from Instagram. Yep. And then as you kept going, you're like, and I send out a newsletter. And in my head, I was like, yes, because we're checking boxes here. Okay. We got 7 ways to communicate with people: in person, by phone, text message, mail, email, social, and your website. Yeah. But I messed that up somewhere. It's 7. I just counted 8, but it's 7. Yeah. All right. And point is, with that, you want to use all 7 of those ways to communicate, because you don't know who's going to be paying attention to what. Mm-hmm. So Instagram, how much time do you spend on a day on Instagram? like, okay, hold on a second. Let's break this down. Okay. We got creating content and posting content. Okay. We've then got engaging with others. Yeah. And then I'm gonna have to go there because based on your ooh answer, I'm thinking you probably stalk people a whole bunch like many other
The
people do,
mindless
right? It's
scroll.
just that aimless scroll.
Yeah, I'm trying
You
to come
know,
back on that. You know what's gotten me is TikTok actually with the mindless scroll. I don't think
it's so
Instagram
bad.
has me anymore with the mindless scroll as
Yeah.
much.
I
Time.
find TikTok a killer like that too.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's
I mean,
so bad.
some things are great because I have learned a lot, and I think it depends on what you're looking for on there, and it'll just show you more and more of what you're looking for. So,
And then
but
when you go to like X out of it, it's like, well, hold on, let me show you one more.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like, oh, you
exactly,
bastard.
exactly.
But seriously, like from an Instagram perspective,
Mhm.
how much content are you posting in a week? Is there a specific routine to that?
Yeah, well, I try to post at least twice, 3 times on my feed,
Okay.
and then in my stories closer to every day. I don't always. This is something else. My thing with Instagram is that I don't always use it for look at what I sold. Like, you want real estate information? Because I'm sure over time, right, it gets boring for people,
Yep.
and also every realtor is kind of like today. I know I was one of them. I don't care. I posted about the interest rate because most of my clients, I mean, sorry, most of my followers are not actually realtors. So I don't know how many realtors they're following. So I don't care. I'm
Pause.
posting it.
I'm going to say something right now. I'm going to back you up. All right.
Yeah.
I am not a believer. I do not like when somebody sends like this like blast, like Happy Father's Day. I'm just
Yeah.
not a fan of that. I just think it's insincere. Okay.
Yeah,
I really do.
it
I
is.
also think it's insincere. Like if you're going to go wish somebody happy birthday, don't do like an HBD
Yeah.
or like actually like
Yeah,
say that thing. And I'll even
exactly.
go further and be like
Have a
grab a
good
pen,
day.
and actually write them a card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to the interest rates
Mhm.
and it comes to any type of announcement from the BOC, yes,
Yeah.
everybody, many people are sending it.
Mhm.
Everybody should be sending it because
Mhm.
I'm going to come right back to, well, if I saw it today and I saw it from another realtor and I did a deal with you,
Yep.
that ain't the way it should be going down,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You should be the one telling me that information.
Mhm.
So good. Listen, good
Yeah.
for you for sending it out. And for anybody that didn't send it out, get that stuff sent,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
But yeah, I was saying that with the posting, I post a lot about my personal life,
Yep.
and
Love that.
because my page was actually before I was a realtor, that was just my Instagram, like my private Instagram I would share with my friends. And then basically when I got my license, I was like, I bait and switched everybody. I'm like, hello, this is a real estate page now, and you're gonna support me. So thank you. And so yeah, I used to have 2 pages. I used to have a personal one for like a couple of years, and it was private, and I would post my whatever on there with only the people that I knew personally. But the lines became blurred because a lot of my clients, like I said, a lot of my clients are like around my age. They're friends of a friend that have referred me. And then we all just kind of end up becoming friends. And it became too complicated. I'm like, I don't know how to split this up. I'm just going to have one. And I think that it works because I remember when I was newer and I would hear from more experienced agents about how they market themselves. And people would always say, people want to work with you because of who you are. Also, not just how much you sell, not how much you know, because there's always other agents out there. Like, listen, I'm not the top producing agent in Toronto. Like, there's always going to be
You don't need to be.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's about how people want to work with you because of who you are. And so I'm like, well, how are they going to know who I am if I never, and here comes the me not going on video thing, which I need to start doing. But yeah, if I'm never sharing my personality and I'm never sharing my interests and what I'm doing on the weekends or the trips I go on and things like that, then how is someone supposed to feel connected to me? Or how are my clients who have already worked with supposed to know what's going on with me too? Like, I want to genuinely keep in touch with people and have them know what's going on with me. And so I post a lot of personal stuff too. So maybe out of like the 3 posts in a week, I'll post one personal on the feed, post a lot of personal stuff in my stories.
Yep.
And yeah.
I like that. I know when I was scrolling your feed just to learn a little bit more,
Yeah.
and again, I'm off East Coast and London, Chicago. Like, but I'm saying like
Love
I got
this.
to see you, right? I got to see you with some of your girlfriends. I got to see you
Yeah.
smiling. I got to see you like in real life scenarios. And
Yeah.
then I saw some real estate stuff as well, but I didn't feel like I got hit over the head with real estate.
Yeah. Thank
You
you.
know,
Great. That's what I'm
well,
going for.
it's important though, right? Like I know I share a lot about me personally as well. and it'll be more through my stories than necessarily through my main feed. But like if you check out my stories, you'll see some of the business stuff, but you're also
Mhm.
going to get, you know, you're going to see me like the other day cooking steaks.
Yeah.
All right, going to the gym, coaching the hockey team, you know,
Mm.
whatever. And so here, I'll tell you, I was on stage one day at a conference here in Toronto, and I
Mhm.
said, we were talking social media at one point. I said to people, I said, you know, and I love, by the way, the fact that you got only one account as opposed to two,
Yeah.
like you blended them.
Yeah.
That's huge. I think it's so much easier to manage.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to people, I said, like, you know, who knows me? And people put up their hand. I said, what do you know about me? And there must have been like 500 people in the room, right? So what
Mhm.
do you know about me?
Mhm.
And some people yell, you love hockey, and you know, you love baseball, and you're Harley Davidson, and your kids and your family. And like one person was like, you love smoking ribs, and you know, somebody else yelled out like pizza. And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
you caught that about me with pizza? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I love pizza. Like that is like my favorite food on earth is pizza.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, I see that you make pizza, you know, on your pizza oven and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know, and I said something to them, and they said something to me about like your favorite kind of pizza.
Mhm.
And we now started having a conversation. Me and this I'm on stage, and there's one person in the audience. There's like 500 people in the audience, but we're having a
Yeah.
conversation about pizza, me and this one person.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, wait a second, let's get everybody involved. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, who believes that pineapple can go on pizza? And the whole room erupted. And now the entire, like, we're having like 500 of us having a conversation about pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Nobody hired me to talk about pizza on that stage.
Mhm.
What happened though?
You
We
built
created
trust with them.
you create a connection,
Yeah.
right? So hugely important. I think that's fantastic that you shared personally and that you've dropped that guard. I'll
Mhm.
nudge you a little bit, use that video a little bit more for
Yeah.
sure if there's a fear to it, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, you've been well spoken on the show, and
Thank you.
you know, you don't seem shy, which is amazing, right? So
Oh,
just
great.
it is
I
that
actually
next level of being able to get yourself out there,
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and then stories, I think stories are fantastic. Stories to me are like the behind the scenes.
Mhm.
It's like the raw real, you know,
Mhm.
like it's like I'm here right now, I'm here. Whereas
Yeah.
like the feed kind of lives,
Mhm.
you know. So it's great that you're trying to be there like once a day. And I think that stories have to be my favorite online hack to build mindshare.
Mhm.
It's free.
Yeah.
And the more I post and the more you click on me, the more I'm going to show up at the top of your feed every single time you log into or you open up Instagram. I'm
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's good for you on that. Now you also mentioned about the newsletter.
Yes.
How often does that go out, and kind of what kind of content do you put out there when you do it?
That's once a month.
Okay.
It's usually heavily stats related. So the previous month stats that come out, we send those out, send graphs out so people can really see, like, even if they're not looking at every single word, right? They can see trends. I also will include any listings, any new client reviews. Sometimes we include restaurants and things around the city. So pretty much kind of just mostly stats with a sprinkle of a summary of what's going on in the market. And then, yeah, any listings or just stuff, Toronto related
Cool.
material.
No, it's cool. It's, you know, it's just it's interesting, right? Like sometimes people go down a different road with it,
Mhm.
sharing a little bit more personal anecdotes, maybe.
Yeah.
And a good thing to think about too is always, you know, can I share a personal story of something that happened with a client?
Mhm.
And we don't necessarily need to name the client or give the details of the property or whatnot, but just the overall story. It's like if you took you know, bought a condo, didn't do the home inspection, and then had to replace the air conditioner, you know,
Mhm.
there's a story, but and again, everybody tuned in, pay attention to this. That instills a little bit of fear
Yeah.
in the person watching, and then goes, oh, you know, maybe you could keep me safe here. Maybe you can help me. And
Yeah.
then instill some trust as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Now, I guess for again 7 years in the biz, if you go back to day one, if you had anybody else that was just starting out in the business,
Oh yeah.
what would you tell them right now about sort of, you know, the importance of the database
Mm.
and the ability to foster those longer term relationships with people?
Hmm. I would say not to be shy because you don't have experience yet. I think that was something that I struggled with reaching out to people that I knew or like people that I had worked with for rentals and stuff. First of all, when I was new, I did any rental. I didn't care. I did basement studios in Scarborough. Like I did whatever just to build up the the client base. But I think the biggest obstacle is just honestly educate yourself, know about the market, and you'll be able to speak on it from a place of authority and a place of expertise. And it doesn't matter how many deals you've done or if you haven't done any deals yet. Just continue to reach out to everyone that you know. Even if you don't think, oh, I haven't, or even if you think this person's not going to want to hear from me, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't actually know. A lot of people are willing to work with someone that they kind of know, but not too closely, because maybe they don't want to work with someone that they know really well or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it's about just keeping your doubt at bay and kind of, my sister always would tell me, fake it till you make it. Ever since I was in high school, she always said that. She's older than me. And that's kind of one of the things that stayed in my mind when I was new. I was like, okay, well, I haven't, at this point, I hadn't sold a house or a condo, and all I had done was a rental, but I knew what was going on in the market. And that's kind of what I leaned into when I would talk to people and let them know, hey, I'm a realtor. And honestly, don't be scared to ask for people's business. I think that sometimes like seems taboo, or you don't want to come off like a greasy car salesman or whatever. But sometimes it is fine to just be like, hey, I'm doing this now. I know a lot about it. I can help you out. You let me know if you know anyone. Just do it. Just don't let the self-doubt kind of paralyze you, because if it does, then you're never going to get anything done. So
cool. I like those wise words there. Definitely. Right. It's just do it. And that's where, Nike put that in place for a reason, but it's so true though, right? It's so true.
Yeah.
Is get at it, right? If you want it, you got to make it happen. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah. And by the way, I still deal with this every day. Like, this is not something that I feel like once you are like 5 years in, then it all evaporates. Like, there's always going to be self-doubt. There's always going to be like, I think you'll always have to push yourself and remind yourself that you're able to do it. And if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Because honestly, it's a really tough business. Like, I'm not going to pretend that it's been fun and easy for me this entire time. I've had times where I do let the self-doubt kind of take over and I drop the ball on things, and there's an immediate reaction either way. Like, if you don't do the things you need to do, you're going to feel it. If you do the things you're supposed to do, you're also going to feel it. So yeah, I don't think that's something that ever goes away.
And so I got to ask you then, because we have, when I run the timeline, chronologically of like when you got in the business and kind of the way within probably your first, well, you were in a really great market when you first got in.
Mm-hmm.
You then went through a really, really crazy market in a good way throughout that time of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we have naturally seen things change over the past, year and a bit. And again, I suspect we're into this for the next 12 to 18 months before we really gain that forward momentum again. And that just has to do with, rising costs of living and the interest rates. And I know that we're seeing things come down, which is fantastic. But everything takes time to change. A lot of mortgages are coming up for renewal. So again, times change and things happen. But the specific to the question would be around, the challenges that you do face from a mindset perspective.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated during these times? Like, what do you do for yourself, and maybe what advice can you give to people about that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because I'm actually going through a time right now where I am in the process of kind of kicking myself in the butt, because I have had a harder year than maybe I had hoped for. And I would say mindset wise is, again, leaning into the confidence and the things that you've experienced. And something that I started doing recently is to start my day with a mindset podcast. So that's been really helpful. I really like Mel Robbins, not telling anyone what to
she's awesome.
but I love her.
Yep, she's awesome.
Yeah, one of the things that she
5,
said,
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes.
So good though, right?
Yeah, it is. And one of the things she said that stuck with me recently was that you're never starting from square one. You're always starting from a place of experience. So I kind of felt like, because the business can be up and down. And when you're in a down, it's sometimes hard because it's like maybe a hit to your ego, or like, you're like, oh my God, did I just get lucky for a few years or whatever? And I think that always remembering that you did it once, you could do it again, A. B,
like that.
but there are, and that there are things in your day-to-day. Like, I had to be honest with myself and look at my habits. I'm like, okay, am I I'm not waking up and listening to something like a Mel Robbins podcast. That's one thing that I introduced that helps me a lot. Am I getting out of my pajamas right away when I wake up in the morning, or am I coming to my desk in my pajamas? Because that affects me personally. I know other people it doesn't. Maybe you need to go into the office. So for me, it's like I look at my habits and the things that I'm doing day to day, and I assess which ones are going to help me get towards my goal and which ones aren't. And obviously some of those habits are easier to change than others, but I think it's just accepting like that we're always in a constant state of evolution. Like we're never going to achieve. I think that was something that helps me, is just accepting that like I'm always going to be working at being a better human being, but also a better realtor, and having, doing time blocking and making my calls. Like my managers are always like, did you call anybody, Soroya? Did you call them? And I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to bother anybody. And it's just getting over those hurdles, not allowing those things to kind of prevent you from doing what you need to do. So the reason I kind of laughed when you asked the question is that I'm in a place right now where I'm like, okay, this is enough. We need to do the things. So right now for me, mindset is all about habits. And I think that I got into maybe a loop for a few months where my mindset wasn't in the greatest place. And I was just sitting here trying to change it without doing the activities that would change it. So learning about like motivation, for example, doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, yeah, you maybe get a burst of motivation to like drink your water that day, but motivation comes from drinking your water every day. And the more you do it, the more motivated you're going to be. So I think it's just about like doing the things, like, again, the just doing it thing, but like
It's
really,
true though. It's true.
you just
Listen,
have to.
a
Yeah.
habit is built off of 3 steps.
Yeah.
Trigger.
Mhm.
I know I need to drink the water.
Yeah.
Action. No, seriously. Action. I drank the water.
Yeah.
Reward.
Mhm.
I actually mark it down somewhere that I drank the water.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you set a goal that says, hey, how many cups of water do you want to drink in a day? 5, 10, whatever. And you can slowly start to see, okay, trigger. I've set the goal. I know I need to do it. Action. I did it. Reward. Check.
Mhm.
And let's say the goal is 5 cups of water in a day, random number here. And you start to realize that you drank the first one. Oh, I did it. Look at that. That felt good. I'm going to go do it again.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you get to 5 and you can look at that and go, I did it. I won. I hit what I wanted to hit. All right, done. Hey, go do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned time blocking. Are you a rigid time blocker?
No.
Okay. All right.
I
All right.
am.
That's honest. That's honest. I like that. She's like, I do my time blocking, but I don't really do my time blocking.
I do my time blocking. I'm not super rigid, but I do have tasks that I do like every day. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to go on Realm. I'm checking what's going on.
Yep.
Whether that's, in the morning or night. Like this is something I'm working on too with myself, is like maybe having my mornings be for me and my emails and my market, blah, blah, and then the afternoon. So it's more like I have a checklist of things that I do every day, but am I like, oh, it's Tuesday, it's 9 a.m. I gotta, from 9 to 12, I'm doing this. I'm not there yet. I would love to, because I feel like that would make life way easier. But it's tough, obviously, because our schedules are so all over the place. But I think that as long as, for me right now, as long as I do what I said I need to do in a day, then I feel good about that.
Okay. Okay. Do you journal?
I do journal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Is that a daily thing?
Yeah, I do it at night. Yeah, before bed.
Cool. All right. Good.
That's another thing that helps my mindset for sure.
Yep.
Is just writing down all the good things that happened in the day, because obviously that can be eye-opening if you think you had a bad day, but really sometimes if you write down.
There you go. What about reading? Any do you read it like regularly?
Yeah, I do read. I have been, again, recently reading more than the last couple of years. When the market was really busy, I honestly didn't read. I would read maybe like 2 books in a year. I watched a lot of Netflix and hung out with my friends if I wasn't working. But lately I've been trying to read for an hour or 30 minutes before bed. That also helps me get to sleep better than TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's honestly like it's a lifestyle. Really, being a realtor.
It is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you got to remember too, right? We only have so much time in a day.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we unearth it and we all unpack what it is that we do in a day and the way we operate in a day, we start to find efficiencies or where we're inefficient with
Mm-hmm.
our time.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, that inefficiency then can lead to the negative mindset because we either beat ourselves up about what we haven't accomplished.
Yeah.
We start to look at what maybe where we're not and maybe where other people are, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll always come back to social media on that. The more we scroll, the
Mm-hmm.
less in control we are about the time and the amount of time we scroll, the less in control we are about the mindset and the thoughts that are running through the subconscious.
Yeah.
And that subconscious then really does start to create a path towards negativity
Mm-hmm.
and a lack of production,
Yeah. And
right?
honestly, let's be real. This this job is tough. There's
Oh,
so
for
many
sure.
ways that you can get sucked into the negative loop. And it's really about like swimming upstream regardless. Like
Yep.
got sucked back this year, I think. Like it was tough because every, headline was like doom and gloom and whatever, and things slowed because I'm in the first time buyer pool mainly, right? So all my clients were affected by the interest rates. And so it's like, oh, I'm never gonna sell another house, which obviously is not true and didn't happen, but getting sucked into that kind of negativity. And like you said, I wanted to mention the comparison thing. Um, just don't do that. Like, I know that it sounds easier said than done, but really, there is no way to know whatever, like, first of all, if you're comparing yourself to another agent, you don't know what work they're putting in. You don't know who they know. You don't know anything about them. And you're just comparing what you have to what they have. And that's just like, you probably wouldn't compare your entire life to someone else's. So why compare businesses? Like, that's how I feel about it. There's always going to be someone better than you. Just focus on you and how you can be uniquely yourself and how you can be the person that people want to come back to. And I think that, again, not saying this from a place of it's never happened to me. I'm saying this from a place of it used to happen to me, especially when I was newer. I thought like, oh, I can never be as successful as X person. And it really just, again, the mindset, it gets you into the wrong thing. Like you're focused on what other people are doing and not on what you could be doing. And that's really where, you know, basically you're self-sabotaging, basically.
That's very well said.
Yeah.
And, everybody, we're talking to Soroya Dempsey today, talking about mastering real estate, how she helps clients thrive in a competitive market. Soroya, you've also, and I think what you just shared is fantastic around, keeping in touch with clients and what we're doing to market ourselves and the mindset that we
Mm-hmm.
need to have in order to not only succeed for ourselves, but help our clients succeed, which we did together establish off the top of the show. The more we can help them succeed, the more we will succeed.
Yeah.
Um, Now, you've also been very involved with both TRREB and the Black Realtors Association.
Yes.
I know, I spend time volunteering
Mm-hmm.
in different places as well, and I know that the added commitment to time that takes,
Mm-hmm.
and what it may in once in a while take away from me maybe growing my business, and I'm talking like specifically focused on the business.
Yeah.
That said, those of us that do put our time into volunteering and taking part in these, it's amazing how the world goes round and things, positivity comes out of that stuff. And so
Yeah.
I'm curious, how has your leadership and advocacy work shaped your approach to real estate?
Well, I think that with my volunteering with TREB, I've been on the governance task force, for example, and the communications committee. And so there's two legs of this. I've done some diversity and inclusion kind of work, which I'll talk
Hmm.
about, and more of the industry, I guess, not regulation as much, but kind of like industry standards. So I feel like volunteering. So I started volunteering basically right when I got my license because I thought,
Good
why
for
not?
you.
Like
Yeah,
who cares? Like what? I was just curious about what was going on, and then
sure.
obviously once you get into it, it's hard to stop. But how that ties into my the way that I operate is I think that I came into the industry and everyone knows that realtors, we don't have the best reputation with the general public, right? Because there are so many that have done things that are not above board or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so it's really important for me that when I'm operating my business, I want to be professional. I want this to be a respectable and respected profession. I want this industry to be something that takes not just, I mean, education aside, but like not just anybody can do it, and be successful at it, like we know. So what sets those people apart from the other group is their professionalism mainly, and their ethics also mainly. I won't say secondly. Ethics and professionalism, they're intertwined, right? So I feel like volunteering with TRREB and learning about how TRREB is run, honestly, sometimes I even go to the meetings and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, for example, writing on a listing that you can, the seller has the right to withhold commission if the buyer is introduced, blah, blah, like little things like that, where you see them all the time and you're like, oh, that's normal. And then when you go to these meetings, they're like, actually, in this bylaw of blah, 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 it's actually not allowed. Or so those things they're helpful for me too, like as an individual, because I get to refresh, what the standards are, what the real rules actually are, rather than what the norm is in the business, right?
Which is
And
fantastic, right? Because you get some insights.
Yes, exactly. So that's been great, and I want to help do what I can to make this industry great, because like you said, there are so many agents who are amazing at what they do and they care about people, and that was honestly shocking to me when I entered the industry, because I was one of those people who also didn't hear great things about agents all the time. But I met a lot of really great people who really care about their clients, and selfless people too. And that's the number one thing. There are so many of us, because I'm included in that too, who will do what's best for their clients. And even if it's not what's best for us, like even if we're going to make less money, even if we're going to waste some time or whatever it is, that's, if it's for the best interest of the client, then it's not a waste of time and it's worth it. So that's how a lot of people are. And I think that we need to put more light on those people.
Good on you. Good on you. And I know, that's on, let's say, the TRREB side of things. And, you mentioned about inclusion and we talk about the Black Realtors Association and just taking part. And again, I bring this back to volunteering. What would you say to anybody if they said like, volunteering is a waste of time, right? I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Well, I think that it brings you a well-rounded sense of being a professional. Like, I think that there's more to being a realtor than just selling homes. I think it's also important having relationships with other agents, because sometimes the deal is not done because you have the highest offer, right? It's because the agent trusts you and knows you or whatever, or how you carried yourself, even if they don't know you, how you carried yourself throughout the transaction. So I feel like it's not just about dollars. It's also about making connections with people and doing your part to make sure that the industry is something that you're proud to be a part of, and not just something that you're there because you can make a check. And yeah, that's basically, that's what I think.
Hey, listen, it's a people business, right?
Yeah.
The more we can speak with people, the more we can be involved with people, the more people we meet, the more people we meet, the more people we can build relationships with, the more relationships we build, the more opportunity we create.
Exactly.
And that could be, again, to monetize or not monetize. That could be simply to help somebody.
Exactly.
Right. So as we look at the market then, and we sort of, look ahead, and what I guess maybe insights have you got, or where do you see the real estate market heading in this, coming maybe months, maybe in 2025? What are you preparing for? What do you think everybody else should be preparing for?
Well, I'm preparing for a lot of my buyers who are on the fence this year to want to start looking again. I don't think that people are going to be like rushing to buy. I think condos are going to be still a little bit slower than houses for the next probably year. But I think that there's going to be so much opportunity that basically what I'm trying to do right now is keep everyone in the loop of, hey, like not just interest rates are down, but I'm like, hey, there's X amount of listings available in your building, or this unit's been sitting and you're renting. Like, how do you feel about, what would it take for you to maybe want to buy instead of rent or whatever? So basically just reaching out to everybody, renters, past clients, like doesn't matter what they're doing, but all past clients, again, ask for referrals. You don't have to say, hey, give me a referral with a knife to their throat, but you can say, like, if you know
conversation,
right? Yeah, like this is what's going on. I think that it's going to be a busier year next year. And I'm basically just preparing my buyers with, again, education. I'm taking some buyers out right now, and I know they're not prepared to buy until the new year, but we're already looking because I want them to see what's going on. And Yeah, I think that things should, oh my God, hopefully, I think that things should pick up and
You know what? Again, look, I will say, first of all, the preparation, the
yeah,
conversations that are being had now, all the
yeah,
preparation that's happening now, that's gonna be what it's like planting a seed, right? It
yes,
doesn't just sprout overnight. It's gonna take time. You got to water that,
yeah,
and so that takes time to grow. And
yeah,
the conversations that we have now with people are what set us up for the opportunity tomorrow. And tomorrow could be tomorrow. It could be next month. It could be next year. It
mhm,
could be in a few years from now. But much the same. Even go right back to what you said, like earlier in the show of like people don't come off the database. Good.
no,
They shouldn't.
yeah,
Just keep them there. And if they decide they want to work with you, great. If they don't work with you, that's okay too. But the more
exactly,
people we can speak with, the more opportunity we can create.
yes,
You
exactly,
know, and I will say too, from an opportunity perspective right now, as we do look at a lot of mortgage renewals that are going to be coming up, there's going to be some people that realize they go, oh shit, I can't do this. And there will be some opportunity coming from that to be able to move some properties. I
yeah,
believe that any buyers that are on the fence right now are poised to be able to take advantage of some good deals.
mhm,
So there's good things coming. There really are. And it's that adage of, what goes up must come down.
yeah.
What goes down must go up. Right.
And like you said, being in people's face, basically, like you got to be there when they're ready. So if you're, my whole thing is like usually by October or November, I'm already mentally, I'm like, oh, well, this year's, I've done what I've done, right? It's on
Yep.
to the,
Yep.
onto the next year, onto the next quarter. And so, yeah, talking to as many people as I can and trying to meet for coffees and just see what's going on with people too. Because even if someone is not moving or ready to buy, you don't know who they know. So I think every single opportunity you have to see someone or talk to them is great. Like in January, I met a renter client for brunch. And on Friday, I forgot I had referred her to an agent in the Niagara, kind of like west of Toronto. I forgot I had referred her. And then on Friday night, I got a text from her, oh my gosh, we bought a house. Thanks so much. And we're closing. And it's like, that's a referral fee, And that was just like, that was fun for me. I like this girl. We met up for brunch for fun. It wasn't even like, because I wanted something from her. So that was also a reminder from me, or a reminder for me to just get out, get on the phone, probably go on video. But anyway.
Well, hey, listen, you do a lot of good things out there. I'm curious, you've gone through your entire day.
Yeah.
You've done everything you wanted to accomplish on that
Mm-hmm.
list, and you're feeling good. I love the fact that you're writing the gratitude journal. I think it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're about to read or maybe start to close your eyes, but how do you know it's been a successful day for you?
Oh. Well, I think that I try not to measure my success in terms of my results. I focus on the things that I need to do. So if I feel like I've done the things that I said to myself I'm going to do, then that's where I feel like it's a successful day. Nothing feels worse, right, than betraying your own kind of self by saying you're going to do something and not doing it. I think there's honestly not much worse for your self-esteem than doing that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like anything that I at night, because I journal at night, I also say like, what do I want to accomplish tomorrow?
Yeah,
And I try not to have like a list of like 10 things because it's not realistic. So I try to keep it to 3. And it's not, excuse me, always work related. It could be like my water, or like I'm going to not watch TV tomorrow. I'm going to read. I'm going to whatever. So just have like 2 or 3 things that you want to do the next day. And you could build on those or you could not build on those. But I stopped saying I'm going to do things if in my back of my mind, I knew I probably wasn't going to do it. And I know maybe that's not the best advice because a lot of people say, oh, don't listen to yourself, just do the stuff. But sometimes, like, if I know I'm not going to come on here and film 5 reels tomorrow, like, I'm not going to write it on the list because I'm just going to feel crappy if I don't do it. So, yeah, that's kind of
okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I like that. First off, your answer did not revolve around money.
Yeah.
So a lot of people equate that word success to money.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it didn't come up. And in fact, I would tell you that, for all the times we ask that question, we ask it every single show, as all of my regular listeners do know. Once again, the word money did not come up. So good on you for that. I think that the journaling is absolutely crucial to be able to internalize. I would add on that if it's like you're not going to do 5 reels, cool, but like what about 1? You know what I mean? Like write it down, simplify that shit, right? Like and like once you simplify it, things start to come to life and then trigger action reward, bang, it becomes a habit. Now it's consistent and now it's like, okay, what more can we take on?
Oh yeah.
Soroya, this has been absolutely amazing. Do you have any final words? Where can people find you? Do you have any final words of wisdom you want to share everybody so that they can get out there to build more mind share, to get more market share?
Well, my Instagram is soroya.dempsey, and that's my main social media account. And then as for words of wisdom, I would just say it sounds really corny, honestly, but to believe in yourself, because I think that that is the biggest thing. Like if you are not on a team, like me, I'm an independent agent. And sometimes the self-doubt is just louder than your confidence. And I think it's about like kind of pushing through regardless of how you feel that day. And that's my piece of wisdom, I guess. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. It's been absolutely amazing. Again, speaking with you about mastering real estate, how you help clients thrive in a competitive market. Soroya Dempsey, we thank you very much for joining us today on this episode of the MindShare Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. While you're there, be sure to check out more about our one-to-one coaching, our group training, our keynote speaking, and of course, download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you too can build more mindshare to get more market share. Of course, for all inquiries, just get in touch with us and do it today. Don't forget, please, as always, to leave a review of this podcast. Again, that's we make it easy for you at ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Of course, if you are on Apple iTunes, you can go straight to iTunes and do that. On Spotify, much the same. There's tons of podcast platforms out there. Wherever you're listening to this, please, we'd be super grateful if you left us a quick little review. Of course, connect with me if we haven't yet on both on Facebook and on TikTok at Mindshare101, and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to take a moment here to thank Kits Keep in Touch Systems and REM Real Estate Magazine for sponsoring this episode of the Mindshare Podcast. This, of course, has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.